Looking at question 12e from the 2014 National 5 Physics paper. This is the last question in the paper. It says the student launches the rocket a second time. For this launch, the student adds a greater volume of water than before. The same initial upward thrust acts on the rocket, but it fails to reach the same height. Explain why the rocket fails to reach the same height. Well, let's answer this question by thinking about the forces on the rocket again. There's the rocket with its fins. It has a downward force due to weight, and it has an upward force, which is the thrust. In this case, there's a greater volume of water, but there is the same thrust as before. And that would mean that the unbalanced force, remember, is the thrust minus the weight. And if the weight is bigger than it was before, then that means the unbalanced force is going to be smaller than it was before. So I guess the first two things to say are, one, the more water will increase the weight of the rocket. That's the first thing to say. And then what that means is, of course, as we've just said, the unbalanced force will therefore be smaller. And so what impact does that have? Well, if the unbalanced force is smaller, remember, F is equal to ma. And so if the unbalanced force is smaller, the acceleration will be less as well. And that will mean it won't reach the height that it did before. So our final statement for to complete the answer is that the acceleration will be less. And that is the question complete. One word of caution here, of course. It's only worth 2 marks. So the marking scheme states that you must have at least 2 of these statements to get the answer. And it's not sufficient to say that because there's more volume, the rocket is heavier. You must explain clearly that means that the weight is greater than it was before. Heavier is not sufficient in terms of the wording to get the right correct marks.